Hi everyone, Darren Huntsy here. I'm with Michael Sands, and we are talking about UNBUSY today. Now, a big shout out, Michael. You have released your UNBUSY book. All right. And everyone, this is really how Michael managed 650 properties, which is a big rent roll, but only with one full-time and one part-time property manager. Of course, the bottom 80% of tasks were done by virtual assistants. And in the book, Michael lists out the 30 tasks that he was able to offload. Now, the book is free. Just go to unbusyyourpropertymanagers.com and you can reserve your copy there. We've paid for the printing. All you've got to do is pay for the shipping. Now, Michael, one of the 30 tasks in there, which is a really big deal for me, not just for property managers and using virtual assistants, because we've got Bev on board that does a magnificent job, is diary management. Now, I said, look, Michael, what's a big deal task that you see a lot of real estate agencies that are using Teams by Design virtual tasks? You know, what is one of those big tasks they're doing? And you picked diary management. Let's talk about that.
I think diary management is really important when property managers need to kind of plan out their days. And one of the things when we speak with officers, especially with IGT, a lot of planning goes into when they've got to set their routine inspections, how they map out the inspections in a certain order so they maximize their time and efficiency. I know there are programs out there that kind of help with that, but they're not intuitive to traffic. They're not intuitive to kind of set the best directions. Also for us, setting the open for inspections, communicating with the interested inquiries about those inspection times. Another one too, Darren, I'm going to layer it on here, but when we would get prospects calling the office or making the inquiry, the VAs knew our times that we had available, and the VAs would make the time and they'd call the tenant if there was a tenant already in place and say, hey, we want to come do an inspection. We've got someone that wants to view the property, and find a time, and then they would just automatically do it. There's no software that does that, Darren. It just takes up human time.
Yeah.
And if you're taking up the property manager's time, it's more time away from the important tasks, right?
Yeah.
That's the base level of things that you get done. The routines, the opens, setting the day's appointments.
Yeah. And for me, I have to admit, now, firstly, we heavily use at IGT Calendly. So that allows, if I give people a link, it allows them to book into my diary. Now, I've already controlled my diary. I've already, for that particular Calendly link, I've blocked out all the parts of the diary where people can't book in anyway. So let's say I've only allowed 2 days a week or 3 half days in the week where people using my diary link can actually book in. And that diary link would possibly allow them a 15-minute time or a 30-minute time or a 60-minute time, depending on what type of appointment it is. But then from there, I give that link to Beverly and say, Bev, I need to speak to Mr. Smith. Can you book him in? And so Beverly would then go and do all of the email ping pong, or the texting, or even making a phone call to say, hey, Mr. Smith, Darren just needs to catch up with you. I'm going to send you an email. Or she just sends an email saying, hey, John, Darren would like to catch up with you. It's Beverly here. And here is his diary link if you want to find a time. In Michael, all I have to focus on is showing up what appears in my diary. Okay, because once they book into that calendar link, it automatically generates a Zoom link because I work with Zooms. And then that appears in my diary. All I have to worry about is showing up in my diary. But all of that chasing down, all of that email ping pong is done by the virtual assistant. And that is invaluable, the amount of time that I don't have to spend messing around.
Yeah, I mean, remember Dennis and I, we had Charlotte, who was one of our EAs, and she would set all those appointments like Bev does. And then like Charlotte would actually turn up to the Zoom appointment before us, and then she would let us know when the person came to the meeting. But before that, she was introducing herself to the client, bringing rapport on, so showing how they're human. She facilitated that whole thing, and then Dennis and I just had to turn up to the appointment. And she'd make sure in advance, she knew that we had a meeting, that the person would receive the certain information we needed them to receive prior to that appointment, so that it wasn't like a brand new appointment. They knew who we were, they knew what we were going to cover. So having that, and there's no system out there that really does that effectively when you're adding that humanness to it, but having an EA that does it. For me, in the agency perspective, I think I was saying earlier that we would start our notice for routine inspections 30 days plus out. And the reason why we did that was that the owners know that we're planning to go through within this particular week of the next month in case they were available. And then we'll let the tenants know, hey, this is the week that we're looking to do it. We'll let you know closer to it when we have a time. And the VAs manage this. And then within the 7 days in Victoria, which was our notice period, the VAs would send formal notice, letting them know we'll be out on this day between these hours. And then the day before, they would call them or message them and say, hey, confirming we're coming through again tomorrow. We did that because we wanted to encourage, if anyone wasn't able to have us through, they would then reach back out to the team member and say, hey, for whatever reason, sick, the house is whatever the condition. That way, the VA could then call someone on the next day and say, hey, we're going to do our routine for you on the next day. A spot has come up today or tomorrow. We can get in earlier. Would that suit you? And more often than not, well, every single time, Darren, we were able to fill that spot. And it just meant because we had the planning in place and she was managing our diary, it was never a problem. Every spot was filled.
No, that's awesome. So everyone, obviously having a virtual assistant on board and using them effectively is going to save your property managers so much time that they don't have to be caught up in all of this grind work that just erodes their heart, mind, and soul. All righty. Quality property managers are very, very hard to come across. And so having this administration assistant work done for them underneath them just supports them so they can just focus a lot more on quality communication with clients and tenants, and of course, focusing on growing your rent roll as well. In our last episode of the UNBUSY podcast show, we talked about email management and how important that is as well. So there's so much you can explore. Again, we've got 30 tasks listed out in detail of what you can successfully have done that and not have to be done by your property managers, and wear them down. Just get the book at unbusyyourpropertymanagers.com. The book is free. Again, all you've got to do is pay for shipping. So Michael, again, another really good podcast there. And we'll see everyone in the next episode. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.